Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game. It's just finished. Brentford 2, West Ham United 0. First of all, I'm going to apologise if you're tuning in for a rant because West Ham just got beaten. You ain't going to find it here. I'm sorry, because I was happy with the starting 11 when the team come out heavily rotated. Only two of our first choice 11 starting in Fabianski and Agard. And one of those won't even be playing on Thursday. Well, likely won't be playing on Thursday. And Lucas Fabianski, of course. So, well, Souček as well. Sorry, Souček as well. So, three players in our Cup final 11 started today. Now we'll go through the highlights, then I'll evaluate at the end as always. But I expected us to lose. And when something happens that you expect, I think there's only so much you can get annoyed at. Now, there was a few things that did annoy me in this game. We'll get on to that. But let's start with discussing the highlights. Brentford went 1-0 up after 20 minutes. And if I'm honest with you, as soon as you saw the starting 11, before the game had even kicked off, there was an element of when will Brighton. I'm used to getting beat by them as well. When will Brentford take the lead? That was almost what I was thinking a little bit. I just didn't really expect anything from us today. I didn't really see where the goals were going to come from. And Brentford are a damn good team. And it felt one-way traffic from the first minute to the last, to be honest with you. And they got the breakthrough in the 20th minute. But we had the hand in that. It was very much a goal of our making. Agard, again, copy and paste what he did against Crystal Palace. Against Crystal Palace, he was there, right centre-back, facing in field, gave it to Souček when he had Jeffrey Schlupp right behind him, and he done the same again today, but this time playing Downs. So there's a common denominator here, and it's not Souček or Downs. It's Agard, the exact same thing again, facing in field, gives it to Downs. Downs should be stronger, but Agard shouldn't really be doing that pass. Gets nicked off him, and they just move it left to right, essentially. And then Mbuamo's there, just inside our box. Fabianski should be doing a lot better, though. Weetabix wrist from Fabianski. Now, Fabianski goes on to pull off a couple of really good saves in the game as well. But for that incident, for that opener, it's poor goalkeeping. It's poor defending. Emerson's about 30 yards out of position, but I don't blame Emerson. Emerson should be allowed to trust Agard. Agard's got the ball. He's under no pressure. Emerson should be allowed to trust him and start going forward. That is how he plays as a fullback and or a wing-back. But Emerson should be allowed to travel up the pitch. He should be allowed to get away from Brentford because we're in possession. We're in control of the ball. But it's a hospital pass from Agard. He should be doing better, especially when he's made the same mistake just a few weeks ago. Not good from him. And not good from Fabianski. Really good goal from Brentford, though. I say it wasn't even a good finish. I think the keeper should be saving it. But 1-0 up, and it just felt, that's when it was coming. We didn't really have much. Between 1-0 and 2-0, they scored again just before half-time. We had very little. There was bits and pieces now and again. We'd start stringing a few passes together. But it was all safe. Sideways, backwards, sideways. We'd get outside Brentford's box and don't really do anything with it. There was no invention, there was no creativity, no confidence, nothing. Brentford were having corner after corner. They were sort of really teasing us, and it felt like the second goal was inevitable. You knew they were going to score again. A long throw. For the third time this season, Brentford scored with a throw-in against us. Ball in, Ben Mee flicks it on, Wissa heads it in. And you might be thinking, that's a simple description. It was that simple. It was really that simple. Long throw, flick on, goal. They tried it again, and we know Brentford are good at set pieces. Only Liverpool have scored more goals from set pieces than Brentford this season. Brentford have scored the most from throw-ins this season. Like I said, we contributed 2 of those earlier in the season. Make that 3 now. So one thing we've discovered from today's game is we are still crap at defending direct throw-ins. It can't be a coincidence when we come up against Brentford, who are really good at it. We just fall apart. And it's different kinds of throw-ins as well. You know, Da Silva's one was just a quick throw-in by Brentford and caught us all by surprise. So Brentford practiced these a lot, and the end product speaks for itself. Half-time 2-0. It was as expected. But I was a bit disappointed with some elements, but we'll get on to that. In the second half, not much to speak about. Brentford looked like the more likely team to score until David Moyes did a few substitutions. Declan Rice came on, Said Benrahma came on, Mbuama came on, which was really good. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'll say this. I wasn't happy with the subs. When I saw Rice and Benrahma coming on, I thought, what's the point? We're 2-0 down. We're not going to win the game. we've decided to rest players, which I think was the right thing to do. Rest them. Don't bring them on for what's the point of bringing them on? What are we playing for? And it felt like we were making subs to almost hold on to a 2-0 defeat, which seems a little bit silly. Mbuama coming on, excellent. That's what I wanted to see. And I appreciate Souček probably had to come off, but that's where you could look at the bench and say, well, did you have to have Declan Rice on there? Did you have to have Paqueta on there? Could you not have had one of Potts, Orford, or Patrick Kelly? Could we not have put one of those three on the bench instead? So we still had cover for centre midfield. We just wouldn't have had to use Declan Rice. And I kind of get why Moyes has done it, because we were flat. We needed something. The players weren't playing well. But the whole point of starting with that starting 11 was to give players a rest. And like I said, Rice and Benrahma's only had half an hour, but I would have preferred they just had the day off, in all honesty. However, we did improve. Benrahma was our best player today. There's no doubt about it. Man of match, Saeed Benrahma. On the pitch for half an hour. End product at time is still a little bit frustrating. I'll tell you what, we're a lot more direct. We're a lot more dangerous. The one player that's willing to go past people, a couple of decent crosses in. He made a difference. He gave us something we just didn't have on the pitch until he came on. So while I don't like the subs, he did make a big difference, Benrahma, and he should have contributed to making it 2-1 West Ham. Now, just because we've got beaten, just because I'm okay with the result, I am okay with it. I'm not okay with the performance, but the 2-0 defeat, I can take it. You know, it's a team I'm wanting to see, so I can't have it both ways here. But it doesn't mean I can't get pissed off with VAR, because how that has been disallowed is just incredible, actually. So the ball comes in from Benrahma. Mbuama can't reach it. It hits the post, comes out. Lanzini gently knocks it into the 6-yarder to an unmarked Dan Ings, who just heads it into the back of the empty net. Happy days, or so we thought. Then when you see the replay, and when it hits the post, it comes back out. It hits Mbuama about here. It hits Mbuama there, which is... First of all, it looks like it hits him in the bit where they don't consider it to be handball, but let's just say it does hit him in the actual arm part. What the hell? How is he supposed to prevent that? Mbuama's a way to crash into the post. So he goes for the header, doesn't get it. The post is right in front of him. So he's got his arms up to protect himself, and he does crash into the post. And they rule it out for handball. It's just a ludicrous decision, to be honest with you. And when Michael Oliver got sent to the screen, I thought, just be strong. He's supposed to be our number one referee. He is our number one referee. He's the one that goes to the Champions League, goes to the World Cups. He's England's number one referee. And I thought, just be strong. And I was disappointed that he ruled it out. It shouldn't have been ruled out. I just don't get how they've decided. I've seen a lot more handballs for goals given. And I include West Ham in that, by the way. I include us. We've scored goals where there's been a handball somewhere in the build-up and they've allowed it. I've seen far, far worse ones than that. Bit of a shocker, actually. I can't believe they've ruled that out, to be honest with you. And that would have changed the game. That was in the 68th minute, 70th minute, 20 minutes on the clock, 2-1. Bear in mind, David Moyes then brought Jared Bowen on. That might have changed the game, might have given us a little bit of something to go on and get an equaliser. Do I think we would have? Not really. But that goal should never have been ruled out. It was just absolutely scandalous, to be honest with you. The remainder of the game, we had some bits and pieces. Benrahma, the main danger, but Brentford probably, if anyone was going to score again, it was Brentford. Mbuemo again coming close, free header, unmarked, in the 6-yarder, top save by Lucas Fabianski, and it finished 2-0 Brentford in the end. Now, there's 4 things I want to say. First of all, that was our second 11. Context is important. I didn't want us to field our first 11, so when the lineup came out, I was happy with it, and that was our second string team out there. Second of all, There's 2 ways of looking at this for me. One is, all they did, the players out there justified why David Moyes hasn't played them. Fornals was shocking. Cornet, not much better. They were poor. I'll get on to Flynn Downs. But the players that played tonight, Ben Johnson, we need a plan for Ben Johnson, and it probably means loaning him out next season. He didn't look good at all. He got a little bit better in the second half, but the first half in particular, he was poor. So when you were watching it, you're thinking, well, no wonder Moyes doesn't play these players. However, a large part of them playing like that is down to David Moyes' management prior to today's game. That was Lanzini's second start in the Premier League. It's the match day 36 of the Premier League, and it's Lanzini's second start. Cornet's first start in the Premier League since he got injured in October against Wolves. it's not enough game time. I say rusty, lack of sharpness, lack of confidence as well. We were getting up the pitch in the first half, but when it came to doing something, there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing out there. Nobody was crossing, nobody was shooting, no one was trying anything. Then when Mbuama came on, you noticed the big difference between a player being confident, a player not being confident, because there was Mbuama running, jinking past players, trying to cross it, trying to do something. And there was a huge gulf in ability, but also self-belief between Said Mbuama and then take your pick, whether it be Fanals or Kone or whatever. So like I said, it's two different ways and it's two different blame games. One, the players weren't good enough, and two, it's possibly a result of the management so far this season. But it doesn't excuse the attitude. I was a bit disappointed because while we had a bit of a joke in the build-up, we had a little bit of a joke about how the players could play really well tonight and they'll get to be on the bench for the semi-final on Thursday. Basically, we're suggesting that you're not, even if you were man of match tonight, you're still not going to get in that starting 11. And while it was a bit of a joke, there's a large element of truth there. And I think the players on the pitch would know that. But I was wanting to see something tonight. I was wanting to see some of the players say to David Moyes, use me. Semi-final, second leg, the final in Prague. Put me on in the half an hour to go. We saw it against Alkmaar. Moyes didn't make the subs until the very end of the game. He only makes them when Antonio's totally done or he wants to waste a bit of time. Mbuama off, Fanal's on. Tonight, Fanal's opportunities to go out there and become a sub on the with 20 minutes to go instead of 2 minutes to go. He had a face like thunder on Thursday when he came on. Well, all Fanals has done tonight is justifying why Moyes only brings him on to waste time. That's all. So I was disappointed by a lot of the players this afternoon because they had the chance to go out there and show that it should be playing more minutes, but all they've done is justify their exclusion thus far. But the last thing I will say is Brentford are a bloody good team. I know they were missing Ivan Toney, but apart from that, everybody else was available. That was their first 11 bar Ivan Toney. And you could argue that the player that replaced him was Wissa, and he went on to have a really good game. Scored, was unlucky. Fabianski made a top save from him in the first half, getting low down to his right, which is, funnily enough, where Mbuama put the ball past him and Fabianski was weak. But Brentford are a really good team. They don't lose many games at home. I think they've only lost a couple, 3 if you include our FA Cup game earlier on in the season. They're a really good side, a really well-organised side. They've got an identity, they've got a style, and they play it well. And I thought Brentford were decent today. There's a big difference in ability, but a big difference in teamwork. We look like strangers at times, whereas they look like a team that's been playing together all season. Now, before I do individual performances, just want to quickly point in the direction. It's on the banner at the bottom. We're selling Julian Dick signed merchandise. If you want some, head over to our store, hammerchatstore.com, and grab it. You've got a couple of weeks to pre-order a shirt, a book, or a print. Me and Gonzo are going to be meeting up with Julian, getting him to sign everything, and then we'll get it posted out to you next month. We're doing our best to get it to you before Father's Day. We can't guarantee it, but we're going to do our best to get it to people just in case they're buying it for Father's Day. But if you fancy grabbing something or just be nosy, links in description, hammerchatstore.com. Individual performers. I was really disappointed in Flynn Downs. Really disappointed. Some of these players don't have a future at West Ham. You go through that starting 11. We can debate who does and who doesn't. Right? We know 1 or 2 of them certainly don't have a future. They won't be here next season. There's 1 or 2 that probably need sold in the summer. But on the other side of it, there's 1 or 2 that you're pretty certain will be at West Ham next season. Flynn Downs being one of them. That's one of the names that put him, Gerd. They're probably the two at the top. You would think, yeah, they'll be at West Ham. So today I was wanting to see something from him. He's in his best position. And I thought he was, listen, he wasn't terrible. I'm not saying he had a bad game. He just didn't have a good one. I was wanting to see him have a good game. Very vertical. His passes were very, very safe. And when he goes to receive the ball, not just from a girl, just in general, he's very static, just stands and waits for it to come to him. And I was hoping for a bit more from him. I was quite excited to see him. I think he's deserved more opportunities this season. And he is someone that has had a decent amount of game minutes in comparison to some of the other players, such as Lanzini. Is it enough? No, but he's had a fairer share than some of the other ones. And I didn't think he was that good, to be honest with you. Like I said, it wasn't necessarily a bad one. It just wasn't a good game. And that can be applied to a few players. I thought Lanzini looked good in spells, but I'm a little bit of a Lanzini fanboy. So some of his touches, some of his passes I thought was really good. That touch to Danny Ings just outside the box in the first half was lovely. The crossfield pass to Ben Johnson, again, in the first half was just superb. Maybe 50 yards, maybe just left-hand side to right-hand side, completely opened up the pitch. And there was a part of me that was wishing it was Vladimir Sufal that was running down that side at that point. But I thought Lanzini had a really good game, and I enjoyed watching him play. And he's someone actually I thought, I can't believe we've not used him more. He's such a nice footballer to watch. But Fabianski had a good game. He made a big error. Should he have done better for his goal? Yes, he should have done. But I thought he made two top saves. The one from Wissa is incredible. To get that low that quick is superb. The save from Mbuama, it's a decent height for him, I suppose. There's the goal mouth scramble. He made a save in that when Wissa, Damsgaard, and then Ben Mee all had shots at the goal and it ended up going up for a corner. I thought he had a decent game, Fabianski. I think he redeemed himself from conceding that goal. Second one, there's nothing he can do about it, really. You could argue he could be a bit stronger, knowing that there's a long ball coming. But I thought he had an okay game. But listen, to round it up, I can't be angry. I can't. Today, Moyes was thinking about Thursday night, and I think it's the right thing to do. I know people say we're not safe yet. I'm aware we're not. But if Leicester lose tomorrow night against Liverpool, which is likely, then it's over. We're done now. For us to get relegated, it'll take a miracle for us to get relegated. And David Moyes has done the right thing today, I think, selecting the team that he did, focusing on Thursday night, giving ourselves, I say the best chance. He could have perhaps made it slightly better by not playing Rice and Bowen at all and Benrahma, but he's given himself a really, really good chance. He's given, Paqueta's had a rest, Zuma's had a rest. Antonio picked up a bit of an injury. I'd imagine he could have possibly played if he needed to, but he's taken out the team straight away. And Mbuama's had a run out for 30 minutes tonight, which was really, really good, which was pleasing to see. Some nice runs, wasn't really that involved, was a bit unlucky to get the goal disallowed, but he got half an hour, which is big. It's a big amount of minutes for the youngster. I think West Ham and David Moyes have handled the game well tonight. Is the result disappointing? Of course it is. We lost. I don't want to see us lose. But if we win on Thursday and we look sharper on Thursday, then I think it justifies what David Moyes done today. And if we win the trophy and we stay in the Premier League, then that's what it's all about at this point. So I can't be too angry. I'm not going to pretend here and pretend I'm really fuming. I'm not. I agree with what Moyes has done. A bit disappointed in some of the players' performances. Quite a bit disappointed in some of the players' attitude today. But it is a consequence of mismanagement thus far. But at the same time, like I said, from what we've seen from them, you can't really argue with David Moyes and say that Cornet deserves more minutes off the back of what we've just witnessed. So a game where we probably learned a lot, and it's not necessarily the things we wanted to learn, if that makes sense. So it finished Brentford 2, West Ham 0 Thursday night. And I'll be honest with you, when I saw the lineup just before the build-up show and I saw the team, I got excited for Thursday. I thought, we're going to lose today. It's all about Thursday. I've been thinking that as soon as the full-time whistle went against Alkmaar Thursday night, I'm just thinking about next week. And I'm not going to apologise for that. It's a semi-final of a European competition and we're winning after the first leg. I am buzzing for Thursday night. Now this game's over and done with. Bring on Thursday. No injuries to the players that we needed to avoid injury. Let's go Thursday. If you've enjoyed this review, though, possibly not, but drop a like on it. It helps the channel out by clicking thumbs up, subscribing you to Hammers Chat, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow.